I can't believe I'm saying this, but we've sold yet another car. What's up, guys? Hope you're having a great day today. But before I tell you guys what car we sold, we gotta go to Costco and fill up the Audi with gas. And before anyone gets any ideas, no, I did not sell my Audi TT, but you know what that means in that case. One of the Hondas is sold. So let's get in the Audi, let's fill this thing up with gas, and let's go. I don't know why, but for some reason, I always have trouble getting the gas nozzle to fit in the TT's gas tank. Like, it has one of those fillerless cap things, which I don't know how I feel about that, but you know what? It works. So we come out to here. The Audi TT is parked where it was, where we started this video, but behind the garage, one of the cars is not there. One of the Hondas is not there. So let's open this and let's take a look. And when we come on into here, we see a Honda Clarity, but no Honda Odyssey. So yes, in fact, on some day in February, we have sold the 2017 Honda Odyssey. Okay, so before we go into why we sold the Odyssey, we're gonna quickly move the cars over to there so that we can get a photo for the thumbnail. So yeah, let's get going to do that right now. All right, keys. Where are the keys? Keys! So we now have the two cars out here. We have the Honda Clarity and we have the Audi TT. And I have to say, together, they look really good. I definitely do need to readjust the Clarity a little bit, just to get it a bit more at angle. But for now, I mean, they work. They work really well with each other. I love the yellow on the green, and when I got the TT, I mentioned this as well, but I stick with that statement, especially now that they're both out in the sun. But we're not here to talk about the Clarity, and we're not here to talk about the TT. We're here to talk about the Odyssey. And some of you guys probably didn't even know we had an Odyssey, but it's appeared sometimes in the background of videos. It's helped out once or twice in some videos, but for the most part, we never really mentioned about the 2017 Honda Odyssey. And that's part of the reason why we sold it in the first place. We didn't use it that much. I mean, we put 5,000 miles on that car in 2 years of driving. So typically on a daily driver, you put about 12,000 miles a year. So 24,000 is what you're supposed to put in 2 years. And we put 5,000. So yeah, not really that much. The other thing is that the technology on that car is extremely outdated. In Hondas from about 2012 to, I want to say right around 2017, yeah. The technology, it didn't have Apple CarPlay, it didn't have Android Auto. It was on a fairly crappy, I want to say 720p screen, versus this one, 1080p, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, all the stuff you need, and that's a 1 year difference. On a 2016 Civic, you get right around that exact thing. You get Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, all this cool stuff on a good quality screen. And the Civic is like 22 grand brand new. This car, 50 grand brand new. Heck, even the used Odyssey that we had, we picked that up for right around $25,000. And all through that, we got less than what you would in a brand new Civic. So it blows my mind just how crazy Odyssey values can stay and how much people love the Odyssey, so that Honda can just keep a very outdated thing going for in the 20s. So in other words, for the same value, you can pick up my Audi TT. You can also pick up a Honda Clarity. Now, I understand that these both are sedans. Well, I guess this is a sedan, this is a coupe. But regardless of that, I mean, Honda Pilot values, which is also a 7-seater SUV, they don't even go that crazy. And they still have the reliability, the same engine, but they also have the updated infotainment and all of that stuff. It's crazy to picture how much people use Odysseys, so that a very much, just not even broken, but very much outdated car can still sell in the 20s. So in other words, the Odyssey is the most expensive car in the garage. It's also the least used car in the garage. Like, for comparison, I drove my BMW Z3 for 2.5 years, and I put about 11,000 miles on that car. The Honda Clarity, we've had for about 1.5 years, and we've put, I actually don't know how many miles. We put about, I want to say 10,000 miles, give or take. I might be a bit off on that. I'll put the actual number like somewhere on screen right now. And then the Audi TT, well, I just got this car and I've already put 1,000 miles on this thing. In other words, within a month and a half of ownership, I have put a fifth of what we put in 2 years of ownership on an Odyssey. And in this car, we've already put, I want to say somewhere around double what we put on the entirety of that car, despite owning it for half the time that we have owned the Odyssey. Now, there was nothing really bad about the Odyssey per se. It wasn't, you know, extremely broken. It wasn't a money pit. It was nothing like that. It was just a car that didn't really have much use. We didn't have a reason to have it. Versus the TT, it's like, you know, it's the fun sports car. And then this is the 56 miles per gallon hybrid car that is fairly comfortable. So both of these cars, they have purposes. They have reasons to be here. The Odyssey, not so much. I come from a large family, which I've mentioned previously before, but quite frankly, we don't really use it that often. Like even through all of that, because we have multiple cars. Sometimes if we need to, we'll use other cars. For the most part, it's just been, you know, take them in the Clarity, or if everyone's around, then the Odyssey will have its use there. But for the most part, it wasn't really being used because not all of us would get together all the time, you know? Now hearing that, you may wonder, are we getting another car? Is there going to be a third car here still? And the question is no clue yet. We're gonna try and see what it's like with just these two cars. Obviously, I'm at my apartment with the TT, so my parents will have the Clarity, and so we'll just have that car just around. It'll be the main car. As for a third car, not too sure yet. We have been looking at other options. So one of the top runners is a Tesla Model Y. And I know people are going to be very annoyed to hear that. And I'm still a bit half and half on it. But Model Y, it kind of makes sense. They've been depreciating heavily. The new Model Y is coming out soon. So the old gen Model Y will definitely take a bullet when it comes to depreciation. Now, on the other hand, it's also the case of it's going to be an electric car. The 7-seater option on the Model Y is quite bad. But it makes some sense when you think about it. With a 7-seater Model Y, you don't pay much for fuel. You're gonna pay a lot less for fuel if you take a Model Y and the Clarity versus if you take an Odyssey. I also just realized that there's a little chip right here on the Clarity's wheel cap, which, definitely need to get that sorted. Now, is the Model Y the only option that we're considering? No. We've also been looking at Honda Pilots, maybe another Odyssey, a newer Odyssey. I've kind of been a bit biased, especially since I got the TT and since I spent time with the Q8. I've been trying to say to go for an Audi Q7. I honestly really did like the Q8. It's one of the few SUVs that I really enjoyed. Like, I'm not an SUV person by any stretch of the imagination. I've driven a lot of SUVs ranging from RAV4s all the way up to Tesla Model X's to the Audi Q8. The Audi Q8 platform, and I guess by comparison and association, the Audi Q7, they have been great cars. I love them quite a bit. And I have to say, if there has to be a 3-row SUV, I would say Audi Q7, but also a Tesla Model Y does make sense at the same time. The good thing about the Model Y is that, again, it's fuel efficient because, you know, it doesn't use fuel. And so it makes it quite cheap to own, quite cheap to drive. And right now their values have been tanking, so a used one would make a bit of sense. But on the other side of that though, it's electric. The range is always going to have a problem. There's always going to be some type of range anxiety. And so that's why, I mean, when we were looking at this car, we were considering a Model 3, but having a plug-in hybrid, it makes sense because there's no range anxiety, you take gas, all of that good stuff. The issue is that there's no plug-in hybrid SUV that has 3 rows that's a good price. There's barely any plug-in hybrid cars to begin with. The only good plug-in hybrid options that we can really think of is maybe the Chrysler Pacifica, but again, it's a Chrysler Pacifica. That thing is unreliable to the moon and back, even just as a pure gas car. Now imagine you stick a battery underneath it, that's gonna be even more unreliable. So that doesn't exactly make much sense. But besides that, there's not many options to fill in, I guess, this third spot here. There's no good plug-in hybrid options, and so electric would probably be the next way, which, I mean, it would be kind of cool. We'd have some gas-powered car content here on the channel, plug-in hybrid content, and then some electric content. Now, all of this being said, am I a Tesla fan? No. If I'm being honest with you guys, I'm not. I think Teslas, they have pretty bad quality. I think Elon Musk is just insane. And so I'm not the biggest fan of the cars, but I also understand the supercharger network, and I understand that that alone makes Teslas a lot more, I guess, interesting and a lot more just understandable to own. With this car, the plan would be to take it on a bunch of road trips. It would definitely be the road trip car. And so having the supercharger network, having all of that network to charge the car, it makes sense to have. Now, one other idea would be to just get a simple, normal sedan, like just get another sedan, maybe a Tesla Model 3, maybe a Toyota Camry, maybe a Lexus IS, something along those lines to fill in this spot. Now, the reason we say that is because, again, quite literally, I come from a large family and we just take multiple cars rather than just taking, you know, one big car. That idea could work because, I mean, again, Camry, something like that, that would get 30 something miles a gallon. This would get 50. Average it out, you get 40. You have to do it on 2 tanks, admittedly. But I mean, it kind of would make some sense. It would reduce, you know, just like having any bigger cars. because bigger cars, as much as I like the Audi Q8, that thing felt like a monster truck, and I'm really not the biggest fan of bigger cars. But that being said though, having this, it makes sense, and so maybe having 2 of these would make some sense. So who knows, maybe a second Honda Clarity, maybe an Audi, I'm not sure. The future, we don't know yet. But guaranteed, this car is staying, this car is staying. Cool, yeah. As for a third car though, we don't even know if we need a third car. So the plan would be probably spend a few months just with the Clarity, just with the TT, use the TT as the backup car in case we do need a second car. But for the most part, just keep the TT with me, and then my parents will just drive around the Clarity. If they need a second car, the TT is always here. But if they don't, then theoretically, just the Clarity would make sense. Cheaper on the insurance, no need to pay property tax on another car, all of that good stuff. But just like that, I think today's video is in fact over. So the Odyssey is now sold. I mean, not really much of an impact, but it does change some things. But if you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike. Let me know your thoughts about it in the comments below. If you guys own Odysseys, can you please tell me why the values are so crazy on those cars? And if you like what you're seeing, leave a subscribe. And just like that, I'm out. I need to move both of these cars back into the driveway. Peace.